going to sprout up. That's just how it is. I want us to think about that. In terms of how you live, how you pay your bills, how you eat, how you treat other people, whatever you're doing, just realize that the seeds that I sow now will show up later. All right? So I'm going to be very cautious about what I do in this life. Right? Let's go to the next verse. It says, in 8 it says, for he that soweth to the flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap everlasting life. So it's up to me to sow the spiritual seeds in my life that's going to bring back a harvest of spiritual things in my life. That's why I do the things that I do, because I know there is a spiritual benefit to what I do. Even the natural things that I do, I know it's a natural benefit. That's why I don't eat everything. You know what I'm saying? You know, we have to, you can't put everything in your mouth. Right? You just can't go and take your credit cards and spend all kind of money and live above your means. Right? There's consequences to all those things. So as a children of God, as Christians, we're going to be very wise. We're not going to just think that God is going to pull us out of every jam we get in because we're just going to live lives recklessly. We're going to live lives with wisdom. Right? Ain't that right? It's funny how sometimes people do things in life and they think that things like they kind of like don't quite understand what's going on. It's very simple what's going on. I'm not shocked about things that happen in my life because I know how I live my life. You get what I'm saying? We have to take responsibilities for our lives. Every one of us do. We must sow the things that we want to see. Now, I want to give you these verses right here because I want to read the story about David. I've never taught about this before. I'm going to talk about the mistake that he made because I think it's important for us to understand the whole Bible. All of us. And none of us, I want to tell us in there, none of us are too big or in certain a place not to make a mistake. Please, never think that you got it going on. I walk my life cautiously. Listen, you have to walk your life very cautiously. When you think you are so whatever that you can't make a mistake, then that's when you will make a mistake. So you live your life that I need God every day. I need God every day. You understand that? It doesn't matter how long I've been going to church, reading, studying, and praying. I need him every day. Like Matthew 6:11 says that he is my daily bread. Right? So today is not just enough for tomorrow. So I have to have some more tomorrow. Because I'm trying to get through this life. Because this life is a wicked life. And there's holes and there's pits that you can fall in. Even though you may have a desire to do the right thing, if you're not spiritually aware or spiritually grounded, it's easy to get off track. Right? That's why you find out pastors and people who have been around for long, you're like, I can't believe that happened to them. I can believe it. Because he took us all off God. And anytime we take our eyes off God, we can make bad decisions. Praise his name. So we need God. So let's go to the book of Samuel, 2 Samuel 11 and 1. I'm going to go through these verses. I ask everybody in here to really learn to love God. It's easy to walk this life out when you love God. Do everybody hear what I'm saying? I'm encouraging everybody to love God. To love God. To say, you know what? I love you, God. Everybody get that? You want to love God. You literally want to love God. 2 Samuel 11th chapter in the first verse. You want to love God. I want to tell everybody that. You don't want to do religious things. You want to learn to love God. When you love God, it's more easier to follow him and do the will of God when you love him. Right? Does that make sense? Because when you love another person, you're willing to give up everything for that person, right? 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 None of all that other stuff doesn't matter anymore. Right? I couldn't hear a guy telling me that he loved his wife and told me I can't give up my boys from hanging out. Like, dude, you don't love her. Really? That's real talk. I'm being honest with people. Because see, love is based on action and not totally on a feeling. Feeling can come with it. There is fuzzy feelings you can get, but it's really based on an action. I know. I got to tell that to people because they're going to think I'm all off everywhere. But I'm being real with you. There is more action based on love than anything, because the action shows that you're willing to give up something for something else. Right? And that's why it's important. And that's why it's important. But let's look at Samuel 11. I want to take a look at this. Pay close attention to these verses because it's very important. Hear what the Lord's saying to us in the book of Samuel. And it came to pass after the year was expired. Wait a minute. At the time when kings go forth to battle. Now, as you pay attention to what I'm reading, I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying here. I said 2 Samuel 11 and 1. You got that? Everybody got that, right? Now notice this. It was part of the year when kings would go to battle. This was the time frame we're talking about. When the kings would leave to battle with their men. That David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. We see one problem already in the first chapter of Samuel. That David supposed to have been at war and he was hanging out in the wrong place. I want everybody to get that. Now you got to understand something. The devil is very wise how he does things. Everything is set up. And once the door is open, if the door is not closed, then there's going to be problems. See, David's supposed to have been at war, but he was hanging out being idle-minded. Let's just keep it very real. And when we're being idle-minded, things can happen in our lives that should not happen. That's why it's important not to be idle-minded. Go to the next verse in 2. And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house, and from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. Now, the second part of this. He was on a rooftop. He decided to see what was there. She was beautiful, washing herself. At that particular time, he could have made a decision, but he chose not to make a decision. Not the right decision he chose. See, this is what I want people to understand. That when things are trying to get us off track, they are very strategic how they happen. Do everybody get that? They're very strategic how they happen. Nothing, the devil's just not going to give you, just put something in your hands that you can see the outcome of it. It doesn't work that way. But it's very strategic. And people have to understand that's why you have to be spiritually in tune to be able to see things. This is what I've learned even when I was in the military, even I was in studying some type of martial arts or something. They was telling you always just know your surroundings. Know what's going on around you. You can't walk this life very blindly. I never walk, even when I go places, I always watch everything. I'm very cautious of that. I'm not a blind person. I can see from this way while I'm talking to you. I'm aware of myself. And a lot of people live their lives very blindly. You can't live that way. You can't live that way. So we see here that he saw the woman on top, from the top rooftop, taking a bath. Let's keep going. I want to get through these verses today. So look what it says here. And David sent and inquired after the woman, and one said, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? He had already now been told this is somebody else's wife. He knows now. Right? Right? God always tells us everything we need to know. You know, sometimes people say, God, should I do this? And God a lot of times will tell you what to do, but then you won't listen to him. Huh? People pray a lot of times, they ask God for an answer. A lot of times God just tells you the answer, but you may not want to listen to God. Let me tell you something. God will never leave any of us ignorant to truth, because he loves you too much to allow that to happen. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you ask God things about your life that you want to know, he will always tell you. He'll either tell you through another person, or sometimes he could tell you through watching some on TV. He could tell you through a book you just picked up. He could tell you through a bumper sticker, a billboard, or through some bum on the street. He'll get that message to you. He will never leave you ignorant. I just want everybody to understand that. When you want to know something, because I'm going to tell you something. I've asked God things I wanted to know, and he would show me. Then it came down if you want to do it or not. See, David had already 3 things that happened. He should have been at war. He was on the rooftop. He seen something that was beautiful. And then he inquired about this woman that he found out she was married. Let's keep going. And David sent a messenger and took her. And she came in unto him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, right? And she returned unto her house. And when the woman conceived and sent and told David, and said, I am with child, and David sent to Joab, saying, send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the war prospered. And David said to Uriah, go down to thy house, wash thy feet. Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king. Now, I'm going to tell you something. So it's funny about something. When we don't correct things, you have to continue to do wrong things to try to, and you never get anything right that way. So what David said, look, let me get this man here. Let me get him to his house. Let me cover up the mess. See, the mess has already started now. It's getting really messy now. Everybody get this? And that's why it's kind of almost just best to go to a person and straighten things out. Because if you try to do other things, it just gets worse. And this is what David was trying to do. Now let's keep going. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. Right? And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down to his house, and when they had told David, saying, Uriah went down not to his house, David sent unto Uriah, camest thou not from thy journey? Why then did thou not go down unto thine house? And Uriah said unto David, the ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in an open field. Shall I then go into mine house to eat and to drink and to lie with my wife? As thou livest, and as thou soul liveth, I will not do such a thing, or do this thing. You know the one thing about Uriah, he was a very faithful man. Now that would be a hard thing to do something to somebody who was devout. This man was devout. This man would not even go to his house with his wife during wartime. He wouldn't. And so David was trying his way to manipulate him to say, if I can get him to be with his wife, then we can try to play like. You get what I'm saying? You see how the scenario continues to get worse. Because now David said, I got to come up with another plan. See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? I want everybody to understand this. The reason why we should know these things about Scripture is because we all need to walk our life cautiously. I'm not saying anybody going to get caught up in a scenario like this. Nobody in here. But you never know what you're going to be faced with in life. You never know what you're going to be faced with in life. None of us know this. But we want to always be ready to do what is right. I'm not trying to tell anybody it's easy sometimes to do the right thing. But God will strengthen you to do the right thing. Because see, we're not going to be strong in ourselves. We're going to be strong in God. Because in Ephesians 6 and 10, it tells us that. Be strong in God and the power of His might. So we're going to be strong in the power of God and not in ourselves, because within myself, I'm not that strong. Everybody understand that? I want everybody to understand God, because He is our strength. Because we've been talking about He is our rock, and He is our rock. And everything that we do, we're going to build up on God. And we're going to trust Him. Now let's go to the next word here. And 12. Let's go to 12. And in 12 it says this. And David said unto Uriah, tarry here today, also and tomorrow, and I will let thee depart. So Uriah abided in Jerusalem that day and in the morrow. And when David had called him, he did eat, drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at evening he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his Lord, but went not down to his house. Now what David tried to do then is, let me get him intoxicated. You get what I'm saying? Now we know that being a Hebrew and an Israelite, that would have been forbidden to even do anything like that. But you see how worse the scenario keeps getting. Now I'm going to get the man intoxicated. And the man, even in that, he had enough understanding and integrity and stuff. Still not going there. Ain't that something? You see this? You see what's happening? So again, and then it says in 14, it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hands of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter saying, set Uriah in the front forth of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. Now notice this. He said, put him on the front line. When the battle gets hot, remove yourself and leave him in the front. Now I'm going to show you something about Uriah. He gave Uriah a letter to take to Joab, and Uriah didn't even go in and look at the letter. He didn't even peek at the letter. He delivered a letter for David without even peeking at the letter. The same letter he was taking to Joab was a letter that was going to get him killed. This shows you how dedicated this man was. David gave him the letter to take it to Joab. He showed him this. So we keep going, right? So now he's going to go to battle, right? So now, and it came to pass when Joab observed the city, that he assigned Uriah unto a place where he knew that violent men were, or violent men. And the men of the city went out and fought with Joab. And there fell some of the people of the servant of David, and Uriah the Hittite died also. Then Joab sent and told David all the things concerning the war. Now it was accomplished. He got rid of Uriah. Uriah was done. He was out of the picture. So he was out of the picture. The thing is, I think what's important to know in this scenario, and I'll read a few more verses on it just to kind of tell you a little bit more about it, is that the decision that David made, he had to come back and live with that later. You get what I'm saying? He had to live with that. And the reason why it's being read today is that we love God because God is so good to us. And God is a restoration God. He's a redemptive God. And God is able to take a person's life and transform their life and give them a second chance. That's a beautiful thing about God. But the thing also we have to realize in life is that even in all that, I have to live with some of that. Everybody get that? I have to live with some of that, right? This is the reason why it's so important that we take our lives very serious. We as children of God must learn to take our lives serious. My spiritual journey with God cannot just be about me. You understand what I'm saying? It has to be bigger than just me. Do you hear what I'm saying? I want everybody to understand this because it's so easy to live your life that way, where you become a very selfish person. And life is really just about you, and you live in some type of vacuum where you don't really see that the world is much bigger than you. Because in people in church, even in church, that we wouldn't make decisions, any type of decisions, when we think about the whole. You understand what I'm saying? Do everybody understand what I'm saying? When you think about the whole, it makes your decision making different. See? And that's what this whole journey is really about. It's about you and the people around you. I have to be faithful to everybody in this church. Right? You have to be faithful too. Faithful is two ways. It's not about me just being faithful. It's also about you being faithful. I want everybody to understand this. Because to have good relationships, where you have friendships, relationships with another person, marriages, family relationships, we all have to learn to be faithful to each other. And we also have to learn that when we make mistakes, we have to correct those mistakes. We can't allow those mistakes to be swept under the carpet, or we try to do things that we know is out of character to overlook those things. Everybody got that? Now, people want things, they want good things. Good relationships are built. I want everybody to understand that. You can't have a good relationship with me if you don't trust me. And if I don't give you a reason to trust me, you shouldn't. Let's be very, very real. People need to be very, very, very real. So people just like, trust me. You know, people need to build your trust. We all need to give you a reason to trust each other. It's just not just, I'm just going to trust you because who you are. You understand what I'm saying? I need to prove myself. And you build solid friendships, solid relationships. Churches should be solid. People should be able to trust each other. People should be able to know you got my back. People need to know that I can trust you. People should know that you're going to do the best for my best interests. That's our responsibility. All of our responsibility. You get what I'm saying? All right. I'm going to show you something. Let's keep going on this. I'm going to show you something now. Let's go to 22, 11 and 22. So in 11 and 22, it says, so the messenger went and came and showed David all that Joab had sent him for. And the messenger said unto David, surely the man prevailed against us and came out unto us into the field, and we were upon them, and even upon the entering of the gate. And the shooter shot from the wall upon the servant, and some of the king's servants be dead, and the servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. So now David got the report that Uriah was dead. Right? So Uriah was dead. Now, what happened from this point, if you go to now the 12th chapter, the 7th verse, you go to the 12th chapter and the 7th verse. God bless you. We'll be seeing y'all soon. And the 12th chapter and the 7th verse, take a look at this. It said, and Nathan, which was a prophet, said unto David, thou art the man, thou said the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, now delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. I'm going to tell you another thing, everybody here. When you are in certain positions in life, the more responsibility you have, the more you have to be responsible for your decisions. I want to tell you something. It said, well, much is given, much is required. You and everyone in this building have a responsibility. Depending on what you are doing in life and depending on who are dependent upon you, you are responsible for certain things that you must do the right things concerning that situation. I want everybody to understand that. David was a king, and David made a bad decision, so a prophet had to come to him and correct him, to tell him his decision was wrong. This is why it's important that people understand that when God gives us all, like I have a big responsibility. I get up here and I'm speaking in people's lives. Not just in here, I'm speaking in people's lives on the internet. People hearing what I'm saying. When I put these words out, these words is impacting somebody right now. If I'm putting out some wrong stuff, I got to be responsible for that. I'm going to tell people this. This is the reason why we have to be careful what we tell other people. You don't want to speak the wrong thing in people's lives. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. I'll be very cautious what I tell you. I want to be cautious what I speak into your life. People need to be understanding this, that the words that you say will impact people's lives. The things that you do will impact people's lives. The things that I do in this world, in this life, I have to be responsible for. You don't know how you can change the course of people's lives by decisions that you make. Do everybody understand that? I'm not going to be able to go through all these verses just to give you the breakdown of David in this situation. And obviously, God used David in great ways, but the baby died, right? The baby died. Then he began to have all kind of family problems after this. You know, his son, one of his sons killed his other son, or had him killed, right? Then one of his sons, abused his sister sexually. All these things begin to break down after these things happen because doors were open. Oh man, it got really crazy in his life for a while until God came in and restored that situation. But his life became to be it was getting bad. But again, we have to understand that decisions in our lives can affect other areas of our lives. And we always want the protection of God in every area of our lives. We want to have protection. That's why I pray for protection. Even when I come here to church, I pray for protection. You got people out here coming in and shooting people in churches. They don't have respect for the church anymore. I pray that God sends his angels around this place when we come in here. I believe that even a person try to come in here, the gun won't work. All of a sudden his gun was working, but it's jammed up all of a sudden. You get what I'm saying? Because see, in Psalms 34:7, it says the angel of the Lord is encamped around who fear the Lord and deliver them from their trouble. So he won't even be able to use it. You get what I'm saying? I said, God, take all fear out of me. We don't want to walk around in fear. Right? You don't want to fear. Fear is your worst enemy. We don't want to fear anything. We want to believe that God, no matter what the situation is, he will bring us out. He will fix that situation. No matter what situation I'm dealing with in life, he will come in miraculously and fix that situation. So, the baby wound up dying. Right? So the baby died. So after Nathan spoke to David, I'm going to try to go through this real quickly because I don't have a lot of time left. But after David and Nathan spoke, David understood that he needed to repent. Right? And so in 2 Samuel 12:13 it says, and David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord also hath put away thy sin, and thou shalt not die. So the Lord was going to forgive him. We thank God for his forgiveness. Praise his name. We thank him for that. Then it says this, if you go up to 15, it says, and Nathan departed unto his house, and the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bared unto David, and it was very sick. So the child got very sick. Then it says, and David therefore besought God for the child, and David fasted and went into lay all night upon the earth, and the elders of his house arose and went to him to rise him up from the earth, but he would not, neither did he eat bread with them, so he fasted. And it came to pass on the 7th day that the child died. And the servant of David feared to tell him that the child was dead, for they said, behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child was dead? So the child passed away. Right? So meaning that God forgave David, but the child had to be taken away. Unfortunately, that happened. And so what I guess from this point, what I wanted to tell everybody is this, that David was a man of God. He was an anointed man of God, but he made a mistake. This is the reason why I said everyone, we have to walk very cautiously in this world. We have to always watch what's going on in our lives. Even the people that come to you. Let me tell you another thing about this. When people come to your life, like when you meet a new person, you automatically want to know what this is really about. You don't, look, anyone just can't come in your life. Why do people have so low boundaries, or the gates are so low that anybody can just come in your life because they may be cool, you think? You know what I'm saying? Like he's a cool person or something, you know what I'm saying? No. You cannot get in my life. I have to know what you're really about. I want everybody to understand have boundaries on your life. Somebody might talk nice, you still have boundaries on life. You pray about that before you let people come into your circle. Yeah. Because I always believe that either people will come for two reasons. They help you on your destiny, or they helping you, or they hindering your destiny. There's no a whole lot of in-between stuff. There's no neutral. It's either they helping me get to my destiny, or they hindering me from getting to my destiny. So it's real easy to figure this thing out. And then sometimes people are in your life only for a season. And you have to understand that the season is up. You get what I'm saying? Right? You have to understand that the season is up. And sometimes what people do, they want to continue in a season that they shouldn't be in. So it's almost like you're in the summertime wearing a leather jacket. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to do that. Because the season is up. Wintertime is up. We're not still operating that way. A lot of things that we used to do is not happening anymore. And people have to understand that. When God is trying to transition you, you got to learn to transition. A lot of times we hold on to the past too long, like the song that she was singing. Even sometimes things that are good for you, sometimes you need to move on to, because God is trying to take you somewhere else. Let me read you a couple verses in Thessalonians and in Ephesians, and we'll wrap up. I'm gonna leave this part, but I want to tell you, go and read the rest of the book of Samuel, because it talks about Absalom being killed. It talks about Anon, his other brother, being killed. It talks about what happened to his sister Tamar. It tells you about what happened and how God was displeased with the decision that David made. And we don't want to displease our Father. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians 5 and 22. I think it's 1 Thessalonians 5 and 22. Let me make sure I got this right. I want to make sure this is right here. Praise the Lord. We're going to pray for everyone when we leave here that God will bless you, my sister. We're going to pray for everyone here that God will bless your life. We believe that everyone should be blessed. Right? You need to be in expectation to be blessed. Whenever you go somewhere, you should believe that God's favor is going to be on your life. Well, no matter where you go, no matter where they put you at, you with God, so you should be blessed. Because that's God's will for your life. Now take a look at 1 Thessalonians 5:22. Look what it says here. It says, abstain from all appearance of evil. You heard that say? So again, when David seen that situation, he should abstain from it. That's it. When we see something that's not right, get away from it. Don't allow yourself to be somewhere where you can see things are getting ready to happen. There's nothing wrong with leaving situations. There's nothing wrong with that. No, sometimes people in situations too long and they be like, well, it's going to get better. No, it's not. It's not going to get better. It's going to get better when you leave. People need to understand some things, that this thing that people do sometimes, we put ourselves in situations that we shouldn't be. It's going to get better when you leave. Sometimes you just need to get away from certain situations and stop rationalizing things when you need to move away from them. Because we're going to be destiny livers. We're going to live destiny. And we're going to pay very close attention to things in our lives, because we're not going to allow ourselves to be in situations that are not good for us. Praise His name. Praise His name. I'm going to give you these verses in Ephesians and we'll be done. Look at Ephesians 5 and 15. Ephesians 5 and 15. Five and 15. Look what it says in 5 and 15. It said, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. That's what the Lord is telling us here. We're going to walk as wise people. We're going to walk with wisdom and understanding. We're also going to pray to God and say, God, is this the direction I will go? Is this direction? Is this what I would do? Even when you're going for a new job. Even when you're going for a new job. You say, you know, God, is this the right job for me? Pray to God about it. You know, a person, you know, you know, you're a single person. You meet somebody, pray to God about it. Right? I know I was praying when so I'm going to make sure this is right. You better be praying too, girl, because we want to make sure this. Listen, be very real. Hey, we don't want this thing to come apart. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have time to play. You know, this thing, right? So you better pray. I'm going to pray. We want to make sure it's right. Listen, people in your minds, ain't that right? You better be praying. Because I'm going to tell you why. Because if you don't, things can get bad. I mean, and I think every one of us in here is mature enough to say we don't have time. I don't know about you. I don't have any time. I don't have any time to waste. You get what I'm saying? You live your life like that, you don't waste any time. People want to waste time. People do things that's unnecessary. Be very specific about what you're doing. So when you're specific, you can cut all through all the fat. So people can't come to you with the okie doke when you know what's up, and you just keep it very real. Because you know already. It's very clear about where you're going, what you're trying to do, so you cut through all that. Just lay out the real stuff, and we'll see. And very simple. Let's go to the next verse here. Look what it says here. It says in so in 16 it says, redeem the time because the days are evil. What the Lord is telling us this, if you have wasted time, redeem the time. Get about the things that you're supposed to be doing for God. Get about the things you need to be accomplishing. Don't waste any time. Redeem me to make up for my lost time. Right? We don't have time. Wasted time. So God is telling us to walk this way. Walk this way. Walk the way that you need to walk to be very successful in your life. And look what 17 says. In 17 it says this, wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. So for an example, you know that I'm going to walk as a wise human being today. I know what God's purpose is for my life. So I know when somebody come to me, I know if it doesn't line up with the purpose of God in my life, I already know what the situation is and how to deal with that situation. So if I'm questioning that situation, then I need to ask God to deal with my heart and talk to me and show me if I'm off. And He will. And that's how God does. God will not let us walk in disorder or walk out of His will only if we choose to. But God won't allow us to do that. Only it has to be our choice to do it. Praise His name. I want to say something to you all today. Make sure whatever we sow in this life is something we want to see later. All right? Everybody got that? Only sow the seeds you want to see. You want to see roses? Plant roses. You want to see what? Lilies? Right? Plant some lilies. You know what I'm saying? Only plant the things in this life that you want to see. You know, God will show you beauty for ashes. He'll take the ashes out of your life and give you beauty if you sow beautiful things. You know, the sister was talking about living in the past. And some people live their lives that way where they only talk about their past. I don't talk about my past anymore. Only time I want to talk about my past unless I'm trying to teach you a lesson why you don't need to do this. But I'll tell you this. I remember in my life when I was going through things in my life, when I was going through some hard things in my life, where I would constantly live in that life, where I was living years later, but I was living in the past. And everything that I see was looking through lenses that look like my past. Until you take those glasses off, until you take those certain lenses off, you won't be able to see the new life that God has for you. Praise His name. We're not going to be sad about we're not being sad. I'm not being sad about things that happen in my life because God will restore all that. I know I'm serving a restoration God. I know God has showed me in my own personal life how He can change your life around. How He can take all your past and He can make it very beautiful in the future. So the way I'm going to live in expectation to see the beauty of God every day. Praise His name. Praise His name. Praise the name of God. Yes. We thank you, Yahweh, for your goodness. We thank you for your Son, Yeshua, for how He died for us. And we thank you, Father. Praise His name. I want to thank those from Facebook and YouTube for following us today. We pray that you come by and visit us and follow us. Check us out on Instagram. And also be part of us. Come by and just worship with us. Praise His name. Praise God. I want to say to anybody who want to have prayer before we get out of here today, is there anything that you feel like you're in need of? If not, we'll do a collective prayer for everybody in the house. Praise His name. You want to sing a song as we wrap up? Praise His name. Brother, let